Swordburst 3, an open-world RPG originally based off the anime Sword Art Online, where the goal is to collect items, weapons, and upgrade equipment in order to defeat enemies and fight bosses. That all sounds pretty good on paper, right? So how exactly is Swordburst 3 a bad game? That's exactly what I'll be getting into now. Let's get into it. Before I explain why this game is bad, let's talk about what Swordburst 3 does well compared to its prequel, Swordburst 2. Because, I gotta give the game its flowers before I rip into it. So first off, one thing this game does better than Swordburst 2 is the progression. I won't go too in depth now, as I will be doing this later. This may be a hot take, but in my opinion, Swordburst 2's progression was absolutely terrible and incredibly boring. Swordburst 2 was just a mindless NPC farming game where you just run around and auto-click. And the EXP game was absurdly slow, having to kill 60 plus of one enemy just for one level game. But in Swordburst 3, they definitely improve upon this by adding quests into the game, which makes leveling up way less tedious and actually playable, unlike Swordburst 2. Another thing Swordburst 3 does well is... hold on. Damn, is that it? Well, I guess that's it. Let's move into the bad, I guess. First, let's talk about the progression. The progression in Swordburst 3 is pretty boring to say the least. It's similar to Swordburst 2 with how you walk around fighting enemies scattered around the map, with the only differences being there's actually quests in Swordburst 3, and leveling up in general is better. That's where all the positives stop though. The main issue with Swordburst 3 is the game doesn't feel too different from Swordburst 2. I mentioned earlier that the EXP game was better than Swordburst 2, but that doesn't mean it's good. The EXP game is still pretty bad. You really start to feel this at around level 20, and especially at level 45 and above. For example, at level 46, it takes about 13 repeat quests to level up once. You may be thinking, that's not that bad since there's only 60 levels. You can't really compare the rate of EXP to other games. Well, obviously it's not that bad right now. As the game updates and as the level cap gets higher and higher, this problem will only become more apparent. So the devs need to fix this now before it's too late. Another thing wrong with the progression is the floors themselves. There's only 3 floors and they're all already so damn repetitive. All floors basically follow the same blueprint of talk to NPC, take quests, beat up enemies, move on to the next section, repeat, move on to the next section, fight boss in the middle, move to the next section, reach the tower, repeat steps 1 through 3, fight final boss, move on to the next floor, then it's the same shit in the next floor. Another thing I want to add is the maps are so fucking long for no reason. There's so much map with nothing but NPCs and it's crazy. They even just reskinned like 3 different enemies and made them red, which I guess is more of a nitpicky thing, but it just shows me where you put your effort into. If you're gonna make me run a fucking marathon, at least add some unique enemies for me to fight. And before you say, oh, but the waystones, obviously I'm talking about the first playthrough, dumbass. You have to first activate the waystone in the first place to even use it. Another thing I want to mention is the quest. While yes, it is a step up from Swordburst 2, and actually lets you know what level you should be for each floor, it's still really bad. It's basically just an open world bandit beater, with the same exact quest throughout the entire game of just defeating 5 of a certain enemy. It's not even really an open world, it's more like a 157-mile long path world. The quests were so boring that my brother, who you should definitely check out by the way, could even bring himself to play past level 3 because of how repetitive the quests were.
Holy fuck, bro. This game is so dark, dude. I don't know. I can't do this shit, bro.
Honestly, if I wasn't playing with my friends, I don't think I could bring myself to play this damn game. I think I got enough footage. I'm not gonna lie. I think I got enough
footage. You should come here and ride me like this.
What? Next thing I want to talk about is the visuals. First thing I want to mention for the visuals is, god damn, these avatars are ugly. And if I want to not look absolutely atrocious, I have to spend 300 Robux just to hide this pile of dog shit. I guess I can't really be mad at this Game Pass since it's purely cosmetic. But surely there's no Game Passes that give you an advantage over other players in this game, right? But I will admit, other than the absolutely disgusting avatars, the visuals of the game are actually really good. The maps, the enemy models, the boss animations, and even the swords all look really good and are very pleasing to look at. But the UI is pretty much the same as Swordburst 2, but just more polished. And honestly, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The UI looks really nice and it does its job. No complaints here. Now let's talk about what I personally think is the most important aspect of any RPG game, the combat. The combat is the exact same as Swordburst 2. Oh wait, no, hold on. There's red indicators, which I will admit is a huge step up considering in Swordburst 2, there was literally no way to avoid taking damage at all. And you kind of have to just bend over and take it. Kind of like your mom. So it's nice that they added these, so there's actually a way to not take damage while fighting bosses. But other than that, the combat is the same hack and slash, spam click type combat. And for the PvP, good lord, this shit is terrible. If I wanted to dash around and spam shit, then I'll go play Blox Fruits. And speaking of Blox Fruits, the PvP is basically the same, with the only difference being, instead of dashing around and spamming attacks and comboing, you're just dashing around and spam clicking. Come on guys, you really could have done better with the PvP. Now for this section, I just want to mention some flaws and features that I consider poorly done. First, the stamina mechanic. This is probably one of the worst stamina mechanics I've seen in the game. The fact that you lose stamina from double jumping, dashing, and sprinting is absurd. And on top of that, you lose stamina so fast, which also ties into a point I made earlier. The absurdly large maps, combined with the dog shit stamina, makes it so mounts are a requirement so that you don't lose your pinky finger. Which brings me to another nitpick that I have. Why is control the keybind for sprinting? It's such an awkward keybind for sprinting, especially for long periods of time. And they also added no way to change the keybinds to your personal preference, which by itself is already pretty bad game design. Another pretty major thing that I do not like at all is the dual wielding game pass. Why the fuck is dual wielding locked behind a $10 paywall? Not only do they lock one of the cooler features behind a paywall, but these dual wield swords are actually better than the other swords, offering more DPS and faster attack speeds, which you can clearly see is a pretty big problem, especially in PvP where hitting people with your sword is your main source of damage. For the last section, I want to talk about what I think the devs need to do in order to improve their game, or it won't last nearly as long as Swordburst 2 did, especially since nostalgia isn't a thing they can rely on now. First off, buff the EXP before it's too late. As I already mentioned earlier in the video, the more levels they add, the more the game is going to feel like Swordburst 2, aka an extremely tedious, slow leveling, unplayable piece of garbage, but without the nostalgia to carry it. Next, actually add something in the game to set it apart from Swordburst 2, other than revamp the visuals, like a story mode for example. Add some lore to keep the community engaged. Add new PvP mechanics, and don't just let it be a brainless auto-click hack and slash simulator, because as of right now, this game just feels like a worse version of World Zero. Like, why play this game when I can just play World Zero? This game really has a lot of potential to be great, and there are some things that are good. For example, the item selling mechanic where you can drop it on the floor and put a price on it. It's a really good feature and a step in the right direction. Obviously, it's not as good as the system in World Zero, where you can put up a stand and sell all your items there, and it can get pretty cluttered in the floor of the lobby, but it's not really a major issue and can easily be fixed. One last thing they can add to improve the game is to add vanity. For example, if I get a piece of armor that looks good, but isn't my strongest piece of armor, I can still have that armor be the one that shows visually, while I still have the stats of the armor with better stats. Just a small quality of life feature that I'm sure the players will appreciate. And if for some reason you think my opinions don't hold weight because I'm only level 16, well, first of all, you're stupid. Secondly, I asked my friend who has a pretty good amount of time and experience on this game to give his thoughts on the game. Take a listen. Bree's like, what are your thoughts on the game? You're level 37, you're near max level. Like, what are your what are your thoughts on this game? What do you think?
I feel like it lacks a story. It's just too plain and straight up, and
James could
it's just like hack and slash, and
yeah, that's literally what it is. Yeah, I agree.
You just go around just leveling up, hitting NPCs. Like, I feel like it needs more. It needs some kind of event. It needs some story, some cutscenes.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
No. You know what they need to do? They need to get rid of the game completely.
And that's pretty much all I have to say. If you have any suggestions of what you think should be added to improve the game, or if I said something you don't agree with and want to give your thoughts, leave it down in the comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Wait, don't click off yet. Since you made it to the end of the video, you clearly enjoy my content or at least were entertained. Why not subscribe? I bring you fire videos and you help me grow my channel. I think that's a pretty good deal.